People who left their religion. What was the final straw that made you leave? Youth group leader asked my mom if my sister had started her period yet. TBH, I left when I noticed that my community felt more like a judgmental audience. I left my church at 16. I'm now 37. It was a Southern Baptist church and the hypocrisy is what drove me away. The judging woman for not being a virgin, referring to them as a used-up piece of chewing gum if they have sex before marriage. The drinking is as bad as murder thing. I worked at a bar in college and some of these good God-fearing people were regulars. Also, guess who has sex before marriage? They did. I've also been interested in science and was told that wasn't ladylike. My parents still attend that church and the new pastor is my age. They no longer preach the old-timer ways, but I won't go back. I left when I realized the church potluck was the only thing keeping me going. Well, I just hate the people who run my church. Now I just believe internally. When stillborn babies, who were not baptized, were buried under the hedge near the cemetery because they could not be buried in the cemetery itself. Fuck such a heartless religion. There was no final straw, it was just a slow realization during an absence caused by a combination of the most religious family member that was the heart of our Sunday services attendance passing away, and me saying yeah, that makes sense to things that were different than what the Bible or its local representatives taught. I suppose the final completion point came when some local churches were caught protecting their pedophiles, but by then that was the final nail in an already buried coffin. Well, the pastor of my church had a lawsuit. I never knew why, only my parents stopped going. Weirdo youth pastor went on a tirade about how your life is worthless if you're not converting people regularly to a bunch of 13-year-olds. My parents finally agreed that I didn't have to go to church anymore. A 49-year-old priest I'd known my whole life approached and seduced my teenage friend and sexually assaulted him while he was attempting to convert to Catholicism. Later, after pressing charges, my friend committed suicide right before the trial. By church. It was one big thing. It was many things that just built up until I got fed up and left. The worst thing was when they punished me for being a victim of SA. I was told to keep silent about it, so I didn't ruin my dad's ministry. Apparently that was more important than his child. I was also told I deserved it because I chose to be the guy's girlfriend, and in their mind it meant I asked for it. I grew up Pentecostal. Courting and dating was for marriage, and even though I was taught to trust someone that I saw a future with, at the same time I was blamed for trusting him. Make it make sense. Just the bullshit was enough. I won't mention exactly which one it was, but it's a problem in almost all of them. Several years ago, I dared challenge the beliefs of community with some Darwinian knowledge and facts like the earth being round. Needless to say, I was asked to leave just so they don't have to kick me out. It wasn't one final straw or big event. I was raised in a community of well-meaning but misguided people who failed to recognize my values and beliefs. So I left. As I got older, I started to feel guilty while praying because I didn't truly believe anymore. It felt like more of an OCD type of thing. Albeit, I think life has been more challenging without that sort of faith, but I can't pretend to believe in something either and feel good about it. There wasn't one. I asked questions that no religion has a good answer for. At first I was afraid of that. Then I decided that if there was a God and he was good, my faith shouldn't matter. Any God that would punish a person that is trying to be good with eternal torture just for disbelief is a monster and not good. That let me start exploring further and the questions began piling up. The first question I asked before that was, why is my religion more correct than others? I was in the church youth group. A boy I had a big crush on bragged about his summer vacation activities. He and his brother visited their cousins in Texas. They liked to go out and find homosexuals to beat up as a fun family activity, like visiting an amusement park. We went to different schools. I had gay friends at my school. He and his brother were huge. Everyone else was very impressed and congratulated him for being such a good Christian. I was horrified and stopped going to church not long afterwards. Pastoral greed for overserving a congregation. The husband and wife pastoral team carry on as if nothing is happening when clearly only one of them is needed. The enabling committee council helped them to build the congregation of precious. Make no mistake, in my experience, very few pastors practice what they preach. Hypocrites. Getting out in the community really. The church I was raised in was one of those super strict ones that think women wearing pants was a huge issue. They would always preach about how gay people were sent here by Satan. I started working with a company that had offices worldwide. The people came from a very diverse background that was somewhat bewildering to my sheltered, redneck self. I got to know and become friends with not just one, but tons of gay people. I just couldn't go to that church anymore. These nice gay folks were spending their days off volunteering at the local food banks, helping the homeless, and this church thinks they are bad people demons. I never saw a single person in that church do anything for the community. At my dad's funeral, the pastor told us that we'll never see our dad again if we don't get right with God, start going to church. That was the final straw. I prayed and pleaded to the Holy Trinity to get my uncle to stop molesting me after my family accused me of trying to get attention. There is no goodly God that allows that to happen for any reason nor for any plan.